Welcome to Crossroads of Health, where common sense and good science intersect, with your hosts Rick Simpson and Melanie Martirana. And now it's time for Crossroads of Health.
Good morning and welcome to another fun and exciting episode of Crossroads of Health, where common sense and good science always intersect. Always real, always unscripted. I'm your host, Rick Simpson.
And I'm your co-host, Melanie Martirana. And I know that you've got some really good talking points, too, that are also connected to prostate and testosterone.
My talking point is something that I was reading from Dr. Stenger. It's regarding low T, or low testosterone. And this is a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it because it's such great information. So many men specifically can suffer from low testosterone. So this is what Dr. Stenger writes in his Health Revelations newsletter. It says, I haven't felt this much energy and mental sharpness in years, and I've only been on testosterone you prescribed for a few days. Is that even possible? Asked Grant, a 50, 60-year-old patient I was treating at my clinic. The truth is, I hear this kind of thing all the time from the guys I'm treating. Men who come in to see me complaining of everything from a lack of energy to trouble getting an erection, or astonished at the difference testosterone replacement makes in their lives. And although testosterone is certainly a superstar in recharging a man's sexual desire and performance, its benefits go far beyond the bedroom. When a woman's hormones, like estrogen, drop during menopause, her doctor will prescribe hormones for her, but most doctors ignore the fact that middle-aged men are experiencing their own rapid decline in hormones. Sadly, many doctors are unaware of how common testosterone deficiency is in men. One study from the New England Research Institutes in Watertown, Massachusetts, looked at testosterone levels in 1,500 men and discovered that 24% of them had low total testosterone. That translates to millions of American men suffering needlessly because their bodies are not making enough of this critical hormone. The reality is, if left untreated, testosterone deficiency is a major risk to your health. In fact, there's even a medical term for testosterone deficiency, hypogonadism. And andropause is the name used for the decline of testosterone and other hormones in middle-aged men. Now, you don't need to remember either of those terms. All you really need to know about them is that for a guy, not having enough testosterone on board can lead to everything from muscle shrinkage, hello, old man arms, to a growing set of man boobs. I got to tell you, I know Dr. Stenger, and that's kind of funny. I'm surprised he'd write that. But anyway, it's kind of funny.
Moobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So research has shown that after we reach age 40, serum testosterone levels start falling between 0.4% and 2.6% per year. And it's no coincidence that there's a similar drop in bone density, muscle strength, physical function, and sexual function at the same time. Yet all too often, patients tell me their previous doctor refused to test them for deficiency because they haven't officially reached their golden years. This is negligence, in my opinion, and why I include testing of this vital hormone, along with others, in yearly blood work in all my male patients starting at age 40. When men are deficient and they begin testosterone replacement, obvious improvements in their systems can often be seen within days to weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, there's more. Anyway, it is lengthy, but I want you guys to hear this. It's important. There's no doubt that low testosterone can lead to low libido and erectile dysfunction, or ED. It's largely responsible for making a man, well, a man. In fact, if you're 40 or older and you've had any problems in the bedroom, you should be tested for testosterone deficiency. Testing is even more important if you suffer from diabetes. Research has shown that low testosterone in men with type 2 diabetes is associated with more severe EDs, low sexual desire, and low intercourse frequency. It also goes into heart health, diabetes, brain issues, bone issues, all kinds of things. It says, well, your heart is basically a big muscle, so naturally it stands to reason that we need to have enough testosterone to keep our heart muscles healthy, and that's exactly what a growing amount of research is showing us. We know, for example, that low testosterone is linked to a higher risk of dying from congestive heart failure, and heart doctors have few tools for helping the heartbeat with better force, which is the key to reversing heart failure. That's where testosterone comes in. Studies show that the hormone may help with heart failure. Low testosterone levels could be putting your heart at risk for other problems as well. Not having enough of the hormone could send your total LDL, bad cholesterol numbers, soaring, and low levels increase your risk for inflammation, insulin resistance. There are so many issues involved with low testosterone, or low T. It's involved diabetes, heart health, brain function, as I mentioned in the previous segment. So ladies, if you care about those men, which I know you do, it's important to listen to these things. And if he's not listening, to be able to share this with him. Anyway, what Dr. Singer continues to write is testosterone plays an important role in blood sugar regulation. Metabolic syndrome, the term for a group of factors including abdominal weight gain and elevated blood sugar levels that increase your risk for diabetes, heart disease, and stroke, is affected by testosterone levels. Having low levels of the hormone is a known risk factor for type 2 diabetes in men. In fact, up to 1/3 of men with type 2 diabetes are deficient in testosterone, and testosterone replacement can reduce blood glucose levels by approximately 15%. So that's a biggie. Then he also says testosterone increases muscle size and strength. This is why bodybuilders love this stuff and why men tend to naturally become more muscular than women. But as we age and our testosterone drops, our muscles tend to shrink and lose strength right along with it. If you're getting proper nutrition and exercise but notice a big decrease in your muscle strength or size, go see your doctor to have your levels checked. Then your brain has receptors for testosterone, which is why it affects cognitive ability. Preliminary research has shown that a low level of the hormone is associated with an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease later in life, and testosterone has been found in recent studies to benefit those with depression. Studies also show that men deficient in testosterone are at higher risk for osteoporosis or bone loss. That's a biggie.
Well, Rick, with all of those problems that low testosterone affects, of course it can lead to depression.
Yeah, well, that would be depressing. That's true. With about 1 in 8 men experiencing osteoporosis-related fracture. If you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis, testosterone is, in my opinion, a better therapy than drugs that carry a whole host of nasty side effects. Of course, weight-bearing exercise, a pH-balanced diet, and an assortment of vitamins and minerals are essential also. There are a variety of ways to administer testosterone, and basically these include weekly or biweekly injections or topical creams. I'm just going to sort of shorten it up here, but Dr. Stenger likes the topical creams because you can vary the dosing, but either the injections or the creams are the best. You want to make sure it's a natural testosterone, not synthetic, and same with estrogens, progesterones. You want natural hormones because all the other ones have side effects. And then he goes on to write, and I'm going to just sort of just shorten this up a little bit. He talks about the nutrition connection. He said, you may be able to help balance your testosterone levels simply by making a few changes in your eating habits. If you have low testosterone, it often means you need to get more protein. Just eating 25 more grams of protein a day can help boost your levels. I also recommend that all men include pumpkin seeds in their diet to increase their zinc and omega-3 levels. And then he says be sure to eat plenty of cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts because they help your liver to metabolize estrogens, which are really the enemy when it comes to the prostate issues. So that's the gist of the whole thing, but it's really good information for, I think, all the men out there.
Well, and Rick, back again on the protein, because we did talk about this last week, but I think we can't reiterate it enough that, you need to find sources of protein that are organic, that are hormone-free, because, again, you're trying to balance out your hormones in your body. The last thing that you need is to be consuming beef or chicken or anything that's been treated with artificial hormones, because that does cause, the animals to retain water. It causes there to be more weight on the meat. That's why when you get those cheap little burgers, they cook down to nothing, but it's really important that you're choosing clean sources of protein. Same with vegetables, insecticides, pesticides. You really want to try and keep your food sources clean in order to help keep your hormones balanced and just keep your overall health where it should be.
Right, and the Hormone Balancing Act is really something important. That's something Dr. Singer, that's the first thing he deals with in his clinic. And the two things to remember are, like I said, the clean proteins, hormone-free, the produce that doesn't have pesticides, preferably as much as possible, and then the natural hormones. If you're going to take hormones, make sure you take the natural hormones. That's really, really important. And so just remember those things. And then, Melody, I know you had an interesting talking point today, so why don't you tell them what you got?
Yes, there was a great little article that was talking about a study that was done on multivitamin use among middle-aged older men, resulting in a modest reduction in cancer. So this was published October 2012. There was a randomized clinical trial that included nearly 15,000 male physicians and long-term daily multivitamin use. It resulted in a modest but statistically significant reduction in cancer after more than a decade of treatment and follow-up. And this study appeared in JAMA. The trial included 14,641 male U.S. physicians initially aged 50 years or older. So when the study started, that's how old they were, including 1,312 men with a history of cancer at randomization who were enrolled in a multivitamin study that began in 1997 with treatment and follow-up through June of 2011. So the participants received a daily multivitamin or an equivalent placebo. Last show we talked about, double-blind placebo studies. It's really, they carry a lot more weight when they're conducted with a placebo comparison. The primary measured outcome for the study was total cancer, excluding non-melanoma skin cancer, with prostate, colorectal, and other site-specific cancers among the secondary endpoints. The participants were followed for an average of 11.2 years. An analysis of the data indicated that men taking a multi had a modest 8% reduction in total cancer incidence. So, it's noteworthy to consider that a study that occurred for over 11 years, over a decade, with almost 15,000 participants, did show a notable decrease in cancer levels. So it's just another reason to make sure that you're supporting your wellness nutritionally by having a foundational multivitamin. That is going to be something that we're really going to focus on today, is the multivitamins that we have that are specifically catered to men's needs.
You just talked about the study. That was done by JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. And I should say they're not generally friendly towards this industry. So the fact that they did a study and it showed actual reduction in cancer is a pretty big deal, because generally their studies tend to not have anything good to say about the nutritional industry. So that's a significant study, which is really encouraging. And we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.